Hi, and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host, Howard Drukarsh, and for those who don't know me, I've been a successful realtor in Canada's largest market for over 30 years. And in the latter part of my career, I co-founded Canada's largest independent brokerage, Right at Home Realty, with a roster of over 5,500 agents and growing. In 2020, I retired to start this podcast, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to meet interesting guests, have them on the program, learn about their challenges, their successes, and share their insight into our industry. And my guest today is exactly one of those people. It's Hersh Litvack. And Hersh, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Howard.
You know, Hersh, there's a lot of similarities in our career, so I'm gonna make some notes here to go over them. Your producer, Jody, was kind enough to give me some facts. So here's some things we have in common.
Okay.
You play the drums, correct?
I have played the drums for many years. Yeah.
All right. And I play the drums. So we have that in common. You like ZZ Top. And I like ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Right? So we have that in common. We both have podcasts. We have that in common. In fact, your podcast is it's a terrific podcast. And you're the only guest that we've had who has their own real estate podcast. So it's a really special treat to have you here as well, because we understand each other in this part of the world in terms of podcasts. The other thing I want to ask you is, are you still the sweetest guy in real estate? Tell our viewers about that and where that came from.
Well, that actually came from my very famous business cards, which are real Hershey chocolate bars, rewrapped, of course. And from giving those out, I became the sweetest guy in real estate, which really evolved to the sweetest brokerage in real estate. And today we still give out anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 of those business chocolate bars every year. And you know, Howard, they have become so famous that I have gone back to endless amounts of people because I give them to everybody and they expect them. So it's a lot of fun. During the summer, we put coolers in my car so that I can take the chocolate bars with and they don't melt. It's been a lot of fun with those chocolate bars.
Well, it's funny. We've known each other by being in the business many years, but the way we actually met face to face was at a Realtor Quest show, and your booth was next to our company's booth, I remember. And it was kind of, hey, it was a chance to meet. And you gave me the chocolate bar. And I'd never heard of it before. And I thought, what a great marketing tool. So congratulations on being unique in that way as well.
Thank you.
The thing about our podcast is a chance to ask questions that sometimes we come up with, and sometimes we'll get an email about it. So I've got some questions here, and then we'll go through the list and see what the answers are for you. Obviously, the one thing that you're very well known for is the pre-construction industry. And how did you get into the specialty? How did you find that to be your career?
Well, my background is marketing, interesting enough. And I think the big event that really made it happen was when one bluer in, I think it was 2007, if I remember correctly now, the fall of 2007, went for sale. And I had employed 11 agents who would stand in line to get to that line so we could be first and foremost to be able to pick the suites. We had hired about, I'm going to say it was 50 or 60 students, to stand in a line 8 days prior to the doors opening. We had a command center set up in the hotel across the street so that we could see the line and have people coming in and out during shifts. And so for 24 hours a day for 8 days solid, we held the first 11 spots. And it became so huge that every television station started pulling up on Bloor Street with the big trucks that had the broadcast antennas on them, and they were broadcasting live right across Canada. And that's how I became so famous. Everybody saw it, and builders started phoning me, and there it was. I was in the pre-construction business.
Well, I mean, all the people we've had on as guests have done something unique to build their career, and I always wondered how you got started with that. Um,
Do you know, it was
yeah,
having the ability. Here's something interesting.
okay,
Back then, we spent $70,000 prior to selling one condo just to make sure that we had all those spaces. But of course, the reward was big. And so the question is, you know what? Do you treat it like a business and make something happen? Or, do you just wait for your phone to ring? I've always been that kind of a guy. Like, make the phone ring. Don't wait for the phone to ring. And it was a thrill back then doing it. And some of the things we do today are still a thrill. I love the business.
It's a business that it's hard to, and I know people who look at the business from the outside and think it's an easy business, right? I'm sure you hear the same thing. It's an easy business. It's only easy if you're not in it. Okay, I mean, if you're in pre-construction, I mean, dealing with builders and dealing with changes in prices and guidelines and government rules and buyers, and to succeed as you've done it's just remarkable. That's why I love doing these podcasts, because I get to talk to people in a way we would not normally have time to talk to each other about. And I think the viewers get to meet you and see you in a way that perhaps they would never either. So, again, I mean, I appreciate that you're taking time to do this. So was it 207 where you started with the company name Hersh Condos, or?
Yeah, right
Yeah.
about 2007.
Mm-hmm.
We started. The very, very first one I ever sold was Burano, and that was on Bay Street, just north of College. It was the old Addison Cadillac,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
right? And you know what? I was so mesmerized by what was happening. It's the first time I had ever been involved in it. And I remember looking through the giant plate glass windows when I was there, and there were so many people, and there was such a commotion going on. It sort of looked like I was looking into a fishbowl with sharks swimming around inside of it, and it was fascinating. And all of a sudden, in my mind, I went, "Wow!" Even though I'm licensed to sell resale, here's a whole other world of sales going on, and I thought it was so exciting. And I just went into it. It was just, I loved it. I loved it.
And I've been, I've attended these launches, over the years as well. And it's interesting the way you describe it. There's an energy in those rooms that resale doesn't have. I mean, you've got one person trying to list or sell, right? But when you do a launch and you bring in agents and everybody's anxious to get the best units for their clients, and there is a different energy, and I can understand why that was something that appealed to you. And I assume it hasn't changed. I mean, same kind of situation when you do a launch.
Absolutely, they're all so exciting. I love every one of them, and we just make them fun for everybody. Like, they're great.
Yeah,
They really are fun.
And so, what was your first project? Was the one Bloor Street?
The big one. I mean, Burano.
Oh.
Burano. What happened was this. Burano was the very, very first one. I had a bet, okay, with a friend, okay, who introduced me to it, who could sell more. They sold 3, I sold 1, right? The second one came up, which was, interesting enough, the L Tower attached to the Sony Center downtown. And because of my marketing, all I did was send out an email telling them about this building. And from that email, I sold 11 pieces. It was $175,000 of commission that day. Funny enough, I remember it was Father's Day, and I remember calling my kids saying, "I think I'm going to be late." But it was a tremendous day.
Yeah.
It really changes your perspective of how real estate works. And really, it just started to evolve. Right after that came One Bloor, and once One Bloor became national across Canada on all the stations, the phone just started to ring, and we just expanded over the years.
And it's interesting about the importance, and obviously this was like a real bonus. But when you get a positive publicity, and you're unique, you almost can't put a price on it. right? Like, how would you have ever gotten, that kind of publicity if it hadn't been that, the news media thought it was a great story. So, again,
Yeah.
it's great to know marketing in this business. I want to go back to the early days and compare to now. So how has marketing changed? I mean, you can actually talk more about, the Hersh Group now, but from the early days to what you have now, what are the kind of the highlights?
The early days, really, really early. I mean, you were using newsprint or flyers or whatever it was, right? Today, we're in no print material per se, but you hear the big difference today is the social and digital media. That's the big thing. When we started in the condos, email was near its infancy. And that was how you would get in touch with everybody. I don't even remember back then if Facebook was going or it wasn't started then. But, in all the latter years, especially the last few years, I saw the trends of the way it's going. And I have always been, I mentioned my marketing background. And so I've really always focused in with marketing as an important part of the business. And I knew we had to create and go down the road of that digital space because that's where the world was going. And it wasn't too hard to see. So, we started it. And today, the digital marketing is and social media is huge, huge.
Right, and when I was involved with Right at Home, and my role was along with being at one point a manager, at one point being a broker of record, at one point even being president. It was always about hiring people, right? I mean, that's what brokerages focus on when you're the broker. And I remember it became very clear to me how the young people coming in had no problem understanding the importance of the digital media. Whereas the older crowd maybe understood it, but they didn't want to take the time to learn it. And those that did obviously have done very well. I mean, it's I'm like you. I find it fascinating. I mean, I find it fascinating to see as things change. Whether it's Facebook to Instagram, apps like Clubhouse. There's so much movement that it never gets dull. I guess that's the way I look at it, right? It's, you have Jody there to probably help you get to what's next.
Well, that's a gift in itself. And I will say that, I think I've always been a proponent of seminars, of learning, of seeing what's going on. Even, I don't know if you listen to Gary Vee. Or if you spent any time, you have. Right. So he's very well known, and I remember Gary Vee talking about TikTok in its infancy, and he says, "You're all laughing at me now." He said, "But you watch what's going to happen," and he was on there quite early. And so, if you get out, if you see what's going on, if you're not living in a bubble and, you get onto some podcasts and social media and so forth and so on, you're going to start to see where the world is going and what's happening. And so that was it for us. I mean, it's a fascinating world to be able to get in touch with people in seconds and have things happen instantly. It's amazing, actually.
Well, I'm going back to my early days when I was in the sales side of this business. And if I wanted to promote something, whatever, a listing, mail things out to clients. I remember sitting, printing things, putting them in envelopes, putting stamps on them, taking them to the post office. And then after that, I hired a company that would do the marketing for me. So they would print it. I'd still take it to the post office. And then once I realized the power of the internet, it was like, you mean I just push this button and everybody gets to see what I want? It's, for the younger generation that never lived through those things, they don't realize how far and how fast things have changed, right? I mean, you're the same vintage, right? You used to do it longhand, and then all of a sudden this came along, right? I mean, it's in fact, I used to tell this as a story to the young people when I would interview them. I told them, try to reference my age, so to speak. I remember going into my office and there was this machine at the front. And I remember asking, "What's this machine?" And they said, "It's a fax machine." So I was in the business before fax machines. That's, puts
Yes.
it
Yes.
puts it in perspective.
All right. I won't comment.
All right, thanks very much. Okay, so now in terms of the marketing tools, you mentioned how you try to keep track of them and change them. Have you found, let's say, in the last year, of course, the pandemic's a whole different story, but have you found you've changed much of your approach in terms of the ways you communicate, whether it be, Facebook and Instagram, a podcast?
Well, I think a lot of you will be shocked by how I'm going to answer this. Maybe not you, Howard, but I would say that probably the number one way to communicate, if you were actually looking for sales to happen really quickly, I would get on my database and actually phone clients and say, hello, how are you? Do you remember me? And tell them what I have to offer. And you'd be shocked, okay, at the response you do get one-to-one. But for those that want to move to the modern age and change that a little bit, on the other hand, we did a webinar about a week and a half ago, and we sent out the email for the agents to register. We had probably, I think within the first 3 to 4 hours, we had something over 600 registrants instantly, just
Wow.
like that.
Yeah.
So, that's the power of where digital media is today.
And I think anybody, listen.
In other words, they're both important. You know what? That's what I want to leave it with. And I'm
Okay.
sorry to
No, go
interrupt,
ahead.
but it's not just push a button and everything will happen because that's what's going on. That's not exactly what's going on. You still need to speak to people.
Right. And it's funny, you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. And I listened to him, since my fitness club stopped, I simply walk for exercise. So I listen to Gary V in the morning. And your point about call people, I remember him saying that. It was actually he was at a real estate conference. And he was saying, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call people, and don't talk about real estate. Just say, hi, it's Howard. I just wondered how you're doing. What do you think about what the Raptors just did? Like simple stuff. And that's what you're saying, right? That keeps you real with people.
It does. And I think the digital avenue just keeps you there a little bit more, right? And then it's just a bonus when you call. And here's something interesting. We just went through a rebranding from Hersh Condos for many years because we started to do so many other things. And I was on the phone probably 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember who I was speaking to. But what I do remember is they said to me, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm coming over for your autograph. And I go, why are you coming for my autograph? And they said, because you own the internet. You're all over it digitally. I can't look at anything that you're not there. So, it's interesting how things change and people see that. It does work if you do it long enough. I remember, Howard, for those of you that say, should I do a podcast? I remember doing the very first podcast. And yes, even then we had Jody doing the first podcast. And of course we were so proud, and you put it out and, you think it's good. It certainly is a bit of a chuckle compared to what they look like today. And, we put it out there in the space for everybody to see. And I think we had 6 views, right? And probably 5 of them were all the people that we worked with.
Right.
So I think you have to have the faith and determination, okay, that once you get into the medium, you go and you do, and things will evolve for you, and you will then command, okay, a lot of the space in the digital media area.
And I agree with you 100%. I mean, when we started this podcast ourselves at the beginning of 2021, unlike, and of course I know you, it's a little easier, but I was interviewing guests I really didn't know, and I was a little stiffer when I did, the podcast, and now, I'm more relaxed in what we do. And I think it shows in the way, the podcast comes across to the viewers. The other thing you do that we do is most people think of podcasts as audio only, right? And we like you decided, video was, people, listen and watch. And we thought, and this is more Adam than me because he understood it, is that's what'll get people's attention, is the ability to see you as well. And I listen to other people's podcasts because I learn. I mean, Gary Vee's one of them. His name will come back to me. But Gary Vee was hired by Matt Higgins. I don't know if you listen to Matt Higgins Matt has been on Shark Tank. He works with the owner of the Miami Dolphins, a billionaire. And you remember?
Yes, I know who he is.
Okay, yeah, you would if you're like me, you listen. And I remember when he hired Gary Vee, and Gary was new to the business. He just saw all of this energy, right, and passion, and it's just fascinating. The people who stand out in the business for me, I guess, in a very simple way, they have passion for what they're doing. They have intention. They have a goal, and they never give up. I mean, nobody gets to be successful by giving up. And I hate to keep referencing Gary Vee, but he says that one of the things that cause failures is lack of patience. Right? People want it to happen too fast.
I couldn't agree with you more, Howard. And it's not just because we're friends and it's a buddy show. But that's the reality. That is it. Have some patience, and just, if you actually wake up and go do something, you'd be shocked what actually happens if you continually do it. It was here. I'll give you maybe I'll just give you a quick story to everybody that's listening. So during the pandemic, a friend of mine decided to go down to Florida to go get the vaccine, and I had just turned 65. And he said, "Hersh, come down with me." So this is in January, and a week later, I went down, and he is an avid golfer. He's a year older than me and a club champion, right? And he said, "I'm going to teach you how to golf." And I've really never golfed in my lifetime. And where was he? We were on the Trump National Doral PGA course, the Blue Monster. So any of you that know golf certainly recognize all those names that I just said. And that's where he taught me to play golf. And I will say that we were up every morning at 5 a.m. We were met for a coffee around 6:15. By 6:20, we were on the driving range. And by 7 a.m. every morning, we were teeing off. And I cannot tell you how much the first few weeks felt like I was in Army boot camp. I was so sore all over, but never missed a day. And it went on really for a total of 90 days before I came home. I was very fortunate to be able to do that. But here's the thing. Somewhere around the 60th day, on the 9th hole at the Blue Monster, you're either hitting the green or you're hitting the water, basically. Those are the two choices. And I would say that I lost many a ball, to that 9th hole. And here I was teeing it up again, and I hit the ball. And it was a typical day in my mind. I saw the ball actually make the green, which was a super achievement in my mind. And I saw it bounce, and I went, oh my goodness, off into the water again. When we walked up to the green, as we walked on the green, because Michael's ball, my friend's ball, was already on the green, so to putt, we looked over, and in the cup, there was a ball. It was mine. Okay. A hole-in-one. I got to give you applause for that. So some golfers never achieve that, but it's massive determination day after day, whether you're sore or you're not sore, right? And you just go and do something, and something wonderful is going to happen.
And listen, Hersh, this is the reason I really enjoy these podcasts, because it lets people see the humanity of my guests. And it also lets them see there's no easy route to success. There's no shortcuts to success. You have to know what you want to do, and you have to stick with it until you get there. And just not easy for a lot of people. So listen, I know you're busy. I don't want to tie up your whole day, but I have some more questions. I want to get to these.
Go for it.
So right now, and perhaps with the assistance of Jody, what are the most important marketing tools that you use or that you would recommend to people watching this?
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you're going to reach a whole different set of people on a professional level. I'm saying that because of the thousands of agents that I've worked with that I have seen send things out to people that they never met in their lifetime. But the people who got the offer liked what it was, called them, and bought the product. So I think that those mediums are huge. I think the largest is your email database for sure. Because your email database you can personalize and do so many things with. And to this day, it is our number one tool, okay, when we want to go out and make something happen. Email first, okay, and then it's all backed up with all the digital and social media programs.
Some of the people I've listened to in this app called Clubhouse who are, very focused on marketing digital media, they've talked about the next kind of evolution is text messaging as a way to communicate to your prospect.
So text messaging was driving me crazy because I knew it was the best. I loved it. I just loved the idea of flipping a text to somebody and they're going to see it right away. And so it's been years that we have worked on being able to deal with it. And so much so where here's where you start to see the future and start to do things. We have, I'm going to say, somewhere just over 37,000 cell numbers of all the agents that are on the list that we deal with. So today, once we send out something, we'll generally always run a text program, okay, that goes with it. It's really powerful. It's phenomenal.
Well, listen.
Actually, it's a great point that you brought up, but you should get into it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Save people's cell numbers in a database.
And I brought it up because it's something that I hadn't thought about, but people who are like leading edge say this is whatever email was when it started. Text is at that stage now. It's people are using it and they're having great success. So I'm glad I brought that question up. You mentioned going into, I guess, virtual ways of promoting. So once the pandemic started and everyone was wrestling with what to do, what was kind of the first thing you did to try to reignite? Maybe you didn't have to because you're already into digital media. But what was the... What was the thing?
I'm laughing.
Yeah.
You know why? Here's the answer to the question you're almost about to finish.
Yes.
It was me that had to learn Zoom. Okay. My staff absolutely knew how to use it and were well acquainted with what was going on. So yes, for us, we automatically turned Zoom from a smaller account to a larger corporate account. And they taught me how to use it, and boom, we were on our way instantly.
Great.
And we worked on perfecting parts of it with clients. One of the things that we do is when an agent has a client that's interested in some pre-construction, we have a program where they can introduce them to one of our sales team, and we'll go over the project with them, answer their questions, and really it's a great program. Agents love it. And so what we did was focused on making that work for Zoom. And Howard, you know Susan for many years, who has been with us for, 12 years or so, right? Susan is probably the greatest person on Zoom with clients I have ever seen. She's fabulous with them. She talks with them just like they were right beside her in a sales center, gets to know them, and they love it because on Zoom, I've watched her do it a few times. She'll fly them around the area from the comfort of their home. She'll take them through the brochure, right, and explain different things to them. And I watch the sales happen right from there where they say yes. And then it's all DocuSign, digital, boom, boom, boom. Everything totally digital. Amazing.
It is. Listen, I'm with you. It's amazing, and people like Susan who can do it without effort are the ones that really have succeeded. Because a lot of people don't feel comfortable looking at a camera, right, or on their computer.
So here, not without effort, with a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be clear to everybody. Any of this takes effort. Howard, like you can sit there and look natural, and I think hopefully I look fairly natural in front of a camera because I've been in front of one so many times. But to think that you're not nervous in the beginning, everybody is.
Right. Good.
Go pull up our first podcast.
Right.
And I think you'll see a difference between what I looked like on the first podcast and what we look like now. So it's practice. And that's why I say we practiced it, we worked with it, she refined it, but the one thing she did was not stop doing it. And that's what made her so amazing at it. And from her, she taught everyone else in our office how to do it. It was great.
That's good.
Spend time learning how to do that. It's definitely part of the culture today.
And I like the parallel that we both started podcasts without being, let's say, well-known media personalities, but we created them. And Adam, who's the producer, he said, don't worry about the first few. You'll get better. You'll get more at ease with it, because I always thought, oh, what if I mess it up? But you're right. It's and just like Susan taught other people. So good. And I'm going to move on to just a couple more questions. I really hate taking people too long from their day. How is the pre-con market today in June of 2021? How would you define it now?
Not quite as robust as it was prior to the pandemic, but I'll say it's robust. Are we selling out the buildings? Absolutely. Our prices have prices increased? Absolutely. They'll continue to increase, by the way, but that's another topic. But yeah.
Okay.
Like it's really busy, really busy. If I have another building that's about to launch, we'll have no problem selling that building out. Okay.
And actually, I wanted to ask you that as well. Do you have any new or exciting new projects coming up that you feel you want to talk about? It's a great platform for that.
We have 3 of them actually coming up through the summer. One of them is at the corner of Markham and Ellesmere, and that's Lash Group's 4th building in the series that we did, and that has been a phenomenal project. People have done amazing buying the pre-construction in every one of those buildings. So that's around 330 some odd suites. We have Green Park's 5th building at Vaughan Mills that is being released. Should be July for that. That's another 300 plus suites, and that's the last building in that series. That has been incredible. That's 1,500 suites approximately in total. And we have one on Islington, a 90 suite boutique around Steeles Avenue that's coming up. And so a whole bunch of stuff coming up through the late summer, fall. Mm-hmm.
And to project, I'm not sure which word's better. At the end of this year, 2021, how do you think the market will be then?
I think it's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Here's what I actually think is going to happen. So I'll give you all a few years prediction, not just the end of 2021. I am a great believer in history, and over the 31 years that I have been doing real estate, I have been fortunate enough to invest in it and fortunate enough to follow StatsCan figures for what's happening in our country. And one of the things I've followed for years is the immigration flow, which absolutely drives our economy. Now, here's what's happened. In November, the federal government announced that they're actually going to increase by approximately $100,000 people per year, okay, up to 400,000 per year over the next 3 years, a total of 1,200,000 new immigrants coming to Canada. Howard, I've been doing this for so long. There are certain numbers that I just know, and I know for fact that we cannot build enough housing in Canada to accommodate 1,200,000 brand new people in 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. So number one, where will the market go? Some people will say, well, what about interest rates? Well, every country out there right now has brand new deficits that are absolutely record-setting ridiculous. Any giant raise in those interest rates would make the debt, now that it's next to impossible, really impossible to even attack. So I don't think that's happening. And finally, in my great belief of history repeating itself, when the Spanish plague of 1918 happened, what happened after that? The Roaring 20s, and it was a heyday. And here we are going through this once in 100-year pandemic, and everybody is just clawing to get out. The excitement of Ontario opening 2 days prior to schedule, Saturday instead of on Tuesday, is all over the news. And so what's going to happen? People are going to have the same reaction and want to go out. It is the Roaring 20s. So I think every sign and indicator points, okay, to sales increases, prices increasing still. Okay, it will moderate for sure. It can only go so high, but it is going to continue and continue and continue. And that's what I see for the next 5-6 years. Buy real estate. I have. And when you see actually what's going to come out in the news, probably in the next couple months, maybe it might take till September till you'll see it, you're going to go, unbelievable what's happening. It's incredible.
Oh, listen, great context. And again, I know that you're as good at understanding the market as anybody. So anybody who's listening, I think you got good advice. Here's my last question, and I think it'll be the one that you'll have the most fun with. And how do you feel about working with family members?
Well, I've always enjoyed having free labor. It's definitely not that. You know what? My daughter Kelly works with me, and she's been licensed for about I think it's a good 12 or 13 years right now. And my son works with me, who you've mentioned, Jody,
yes,
whose really background is entertainment and production. He has, when you talk about Jody, he has produced, he got the 2018 award for production of the year in Canada. Wow. It was huge.
Great.
So it's been definitely fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll like this. Being in real estate so many years, my kids grew up around real estate. Around, you're not home these hours, or it's real estate in general. Mm-hmm. And so part of it was easy with them. I didn't have to train a lot. They have my enthusiasm. They know what it's like to go complete a deal and get it done. They are very, very professional. So that part, has been great. I think one of the fun things, though, one of the real fun things is understanding that what I've built over the years, or now we have built, will continue. And it's a great pleasure to drive in the car with them, and anywhere in Toronto you can point pretty much to, well, not anywhere, but to a lot of the buildings, and know that you were part of the marketing and sales that made that happen, and like a major part in actually reshaping what Toronto looks like today. So to have them with me at my side to do that has been, just a great privilege.
No, great. I couldn't end it on a better note. I mean, good for you and good for your family. So, Hersh, thank you I know how busy you are. Again, thank you for taking time today. Thank Jody for being, a fantastic producer on your behalf. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch. And I wish you all the best, and we'll see what happens by the end of the year. We'll connect again.
That would be really fun. Thank you so much, and good luck, everybody. Don't think. Go out and do it. Make it happen.
All right. Thanks for the final words. Talk to you again. Thanks, Hersh.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. We'd like to thank Hersh Litvack and you for joining us today. And if you enjoyed our podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcast network or on our YouTube channel, and tell your friends about us. And you can reach us one of two ways. You can reach us by email at info@rewithhd.com or on our website, rewithhd.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.